There's something so fascinating about ancient Egypt that it pulls people in from all corners of the world. Those mysterious pyramids and the enigmatic Sphinx have been captivating us for centuries. It's like each stone has its own story to tell, and people have been trying to listen to them for hundreds of years.
Absolutely. Ancient Egypt was a blend of such unique elements that it's hard not to be mesmerized. From the strange writings they left behind to the way they organized their society, it's all so intriguing. In this podcast, we're going to explore all these wonders and discover some of the old secrets hidden in the sands. So, what do you think makes ancient Egypt so compelling?
When we look back at the history of ancient Egypt, it's like opening a book filled with stories from a very long time ago. Imagine, the history goes back to around 5,500 BCE. That is a really long time. Historians have divided this history into three parts called the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. It's amazing how this old civilization developed and progressed through these different periods.
Yes, it's quite fascinating. One of the challenges many people face is figuring out the exact time different buildings and events happened. This was because the Egyptians used the reigns of their kings to keep track of time. This makes it tricky for archaeologists today to date things accurately. But they have made big steps forward by learning how to read the hieroglyphics. This special writing was the key to understanding much more about their history.
When we look at Egypt, the Nile is more than just a river. It's the heart of life. This amazing body of water flows from the south to the north, bringing life to the land. Each year, this river floods the land around it. The soil becomes rich and perfect for farming thanks to this water. Those early people who lived there really depended on the river. It made their unique way of living by giving them what they needed to grow food.
Exactly. The Nile's flooding is a double-edged sword. If the water is too much, it could ruin fields and homes. But too little water means the crops may die, leading to hunger. This balance was key for the ancient Egyptians. People first started settling near the river to do farming. They stopped moving around as nomads and started building permanent homes. This was also when trade began to grow, and different people worked on different skills like art and making things.
As time went on, these settlements kept growing. Trade became more important, and people exchanged goods more often. There was a true sense of community forming because of their interactions, and it wasn't only about trade and agriculture. Craftspeople and artists also became known for their skills, contributing to the culture. The growth near the Nile really set a foundation for what would become a great civilization. Families and friendships grew into something bigger than just small, isolated groups.
Yes, and with more people, the communities became more complex. The need for more food, water, and goods increased as the population grew. This led to a new way of life where people started working together for common goals. Leaders emerged to help organize and make decisions for these communities. It was amazing how this society evolved by being so closely linked to its environment, especially the mighty Nile. This means of cooperation laid the groundwork for the larger unified Egyptian kingdom that was to come.
As the climate began to change, more and more people started moving closer to the Nile. This was because the areas far from the river were getting hotter and drier. People needed the water and fertile land that the Nile provided. With all these people living near each other, new challenges arose. The competition for resources became a big deal. Settlements started to compete for the best lands, water access, and food supplies. These growing rivalries also led to some interesting changes in how people lived.
Exactly. When you have so many people living in close quarters and vying for the same resources, tensions can definitely rise. But this competition wasn't all bad. It pushed the leaders of these settlements to make important decisions. The leaders ordered the construction of walls and developed defense tactics to protect their people and resources. This time period eventually led to the rise of three main kingdoms. Naturally, these kingdoms battled each other for control over resources, precious stones, and gold. All this struggle set the stage for some significant political changes.
Fascinatingly, one of the kingdoms eventually rose above the others. King Narmer was the one who managed to unite these three kingdoms under a single rule. Uniting these kingdoms wasn't just about peace, it was also about creating a national identity. King Narmer became the first true ruler of Egypt, considered the founder of the first nation-state in history. With this unification, Egypt was able to create a more structured society. Narmer introduced icons of royalty and ordered grand buildings to be constructed. He played a big role in shaping Egypt's identity, and many of his decisions influenced the kingdom's future.
Absolutely. King Narmer's work in building a unified kingdom laid the foundation for Egypt's great achievements. With more stability and a stronger central government, there was room for cultural advancements, including building incredible structures and developing a system of writing. Around this time, the Egyptians really started to write things down, keeping records of commerce and preserving important events through their special writing known as hieroglyphics. Having a written language was key to ensuring the kings and pharaohs were remembered in history. It's fascinating to think how this period of change and unification really set the stage for Egypt's development as one of history's most iconic civilizations.
Now that Egypt was a unified kingdom, the leaders were very important. Pharaohs were not just kings, they were considered to be like gods on earth. Imagine being seen as a god by everyone around you. People believed pharaohs were the embodiment of Horus, a powerful god. This belief made pharaohs very special in society. They were like a bridge between people and the gods, responsible for communicating with the divine and ensuring the welfare of the kingdom.
Yes, the pharaohs had many duties and were expected to keep both the gods and their people happy. This was not an easy task. Pharaohs would lead religious ceremonies and make sure that temples were well taken care of. They had to maintain peace and order so that their people were safe and productive. Anything bad, like a drought or a bad harvest, was often seen as a sign that the gods were angry. The pharaoh was responsible for fixing these problems and keeping everyone safe.
Alongside the pharaoh, priests were very important too. They were like helpers to the pharaoh and played a big role in keeping the gods happy. Priests were in charge of temples and made sure that the gods received their food and prayers. Because of their role, they were very powerful and respected. People gave them gifts, hoping the priests would speak well of them to the gods. This relationship with the pharaohs and the gods made priests very influential in both religious and daily life.
Exactly. Priests could become quite wealthy because of these gifts. Having the priests on your side was always a good idea. People believed if they pleased the gods, their lives would be better. Religious practices were a part of daily life and influenced almost everything. From harvests to family life, the gods played a central role in everything Egyptians did. Pharaohs and priests made sure these religious practices were followed. It was a way to keep society running smoothly and everyone feeling connected to something larger than themselves.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is truly one of the most impressive structures built by the ancient Egyptians. Constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu around 2560 BCE, it served a special purpose. Imagine being able to create such a grand structure with only basic tools and no modern technology. The pyramid was built with incredible precision, showcasing the engineering skills of the Egyptians. Many people believe it was built as a tomb for Khufu, housing his body and treasures in the afterlife.
Indeed, it's difficult to comprehend how such a monumental structure was completed by using just simple levers, ramps, and a lot of manual labor. The Great Pyramid consists of millions of limestone blocks, and each one weighs several tons. It's not just impressive in size, but also in its construction accuracy. The ancient builders aligned it almost perfectly with the cardinal points, which is fascinating. Besides being an engineering marvel, the pyramid is also a symbol of Egypt's rich history and the pharaoh's power.
Let's not forget about the Great Sphinx that stands near the pyramids. This unique statue has captured the imaginations of many with its human head and lion body. The Great Sphinx is believed by some to be a representation of Pharaoh Khafra, who may have ordered its construction. Although its true age is still debated, it is considered to have been around since approximately 2494 BC. Its purpose, like the pyramid, remains a mystery, which makes it even more intriguing for historians and tourists alike.
Absolutely. The Sphinx's age and origin are often discussed among experts. Some even suggest it could be older than we think. Over time, the sands of the desert buried the Great Sphinx up to its neck, hiding it from sight. It wasn't until much later that efforts were made to uncover its full structure, saving this incredible piece of history from being forgotten. Both the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx continue to stand as great monuments to the creativity and skills of the ancient Egyptians.
When we talk about the New Kingdom in ancient Egypt, we see a period full of great power and impressive achievements. Pharaohs in this era were really powerful and took Egypt to new heights through military expansions. One such pharaoh was Thutmose III, who is remembered for his successful military campaigns. His victories stretched Egypt's territory and influence far beyond its borders, making it a strong empire.
It's amazing how these expansions under Thutmose III and others helped build a formidable empire. We also can't forget King Tut, whose tomb discovery was one of the most famous finds in Egyptology. Discovered almost intact, it gave us invaluable insights into the burial practices of ancient Egypt, along with tales of treasures and maybe even curses, which sparked the world's imagination and fascination.
Moving to another interesting part of the New Kingdom, let's talk about Pharaoh Akhenaten, who introduced a major religious shift by promoting monotheism. Before his reign, Egyptians worshipped many gods. Akhenaten, however, chose to worship only one god, Aten, the sun deity. This change was quite radical and not everyone was happy about it, but as a pharaoh he tried to enforce this new belief throughout Egypt.
That's quite an incredible change, and not surprisingly, after his death, Egypt returned to its traditional polytheistic beliefs. Akhenaten's remains became less prominent, as people wanted to restore the old ways. But this kind of change shows how dynamic and unique the social and religious life was in Egypt. Later, Cleopatra's dramatic life story also left a strong mark on history. Her interactions with Roman leaders like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were intriguing and quite eventful.
Yes, Cleopatra was such a fascinating figure. Her relationships with both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony are legendary. Their story is often compared to a tragic romance. Cleopatra was known for her beauty and intelligence. She used these to navigate the political landscapes of her time, which was not an easy feat. Her legacy and dramatic life have been told and retold through history, keeping the allure of ancient Egypt alive in people's minds.
Exactly. Her life was full of drama and political intrigue, making her one of the most well-known figures in ancient history. Her efforts to maintain Egypt's independence amid the growing power of Rome highlight her bold leadership. Even today, stories of Cleopatra continue to capture the imagination, further adding to the rich tapestry that is Egypt's legacy. It's remarkable how these stories and achievements from the New Kingdom continue to intrigue us today.
As we finish our journey through the stories of ancient Egypt, let's take a moment to think about why Egypt fascinates us so much. This land, with its unique blend of mystery and history, has enchanted people for a long time. The wonders like pyramids and pharaohs continue to inspire us to learn more and explore deeply into its past. The stories from this ancient culture still teach us many things today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the fascinating world of ancient Egypt with us. Please remember to like and comment if you want more episodes like this. It helps us know that you are enjoying the content. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thank you for joining us and stay curious, as there is always more to discover about such captivating histories.